4. General clauses. 4.1. Release from lease contract. Unless you are entitled to terminate this lease contract, you won't be released from this lease contract for any reason, including, but not limited to, voluntary or involuntary school withdrawal or transfer, voluntary or involuntary job transfer, marriage, separation, divorce, reconciliation, loss of co-residence, loss of employment, bad health, or death, early termination by military personnel. If tenant is a member of the Armed Forces of the United States or a member of the Virginia National Guard serving on full-time active duty or as a civil service technician with a National Guard unit who 1. Has received permanent change of station orders to a duty station, 2. Has received temporary orders for over 90 days to such a station, 3. Is discharged or released from such duty or technician status, or 4. Is ordered to report to government-supplied quarters, resulting in a forfeiture of basic allowance for quarters. Tenant may terminate this lease by 1. Serving on the owner a written notice of termination to be effective on a date stated therein. Such date to not be less than 30 days after the first date on which the next rental payment is due, and payable after the date on which the written notice is given. The termination date shall be no more than 60 days prior to the date of departure, necessary to comply with the official orders or any supplemental instructions for interim training or duty prior to the transfer. Prior to the termination date, the tenant shall furnish the owner with a copy of the official notification of the orders or a signed letter confirming the orders from the tenant's commanding officer. Nothing in this section shall limit the amount of the security deposit that landlord lessor may retain as provided by law and in this lease. When tenant consists of 2 or more unmarried adults, the transfer of 1 or more persons does not relieve the others of satisfactory completion of all terms of this lease. Noncompliance with this section constitutes a material breach of this lease agreement. Assignment and subletting. Tenant shall not assign this lease or sublet any or all of the premises without written consent of owner. Tenant shall not have guests stay at the property without prior written consent of owner. Otherwise stated, the property may not be used as an Airbnb or similar situation unless written consent from the owner has been received. Upon approval of the Airbnb, tenant shall sign addendum and follow all provisions within the stated terms of the Airbnb addendum. The Airbnb addendum is an addition to and made part of the lease agreement, and in any event there is any conflict between the lease and this addendum, the provisions of the addendum shall govern. Agent may assess a lease change fee of $250 for purposes in connection with any request for consent to any sublease, assignment, or Airbnb. Any request for consent to any sublease, assignment, or Airbnb must be on forms provided by agent. Owner's consent to any sublease, assignment, or Airbnb shall not waive owner's right to approve, disapprove, or revoke of any future sublease, assignment, or Airbnb. Owner may sign this lease at any time without the consent of tenant. This lease cannot be assigned, sublet, operate an Airbnb during the first term. Noncompliance with this section constitutes a material breach of this lease agreement.